What's up, guys? Welcome to my weekly Wednesday Live. This week, I want to talk to you about the holidays. So, I know you're saying to yourself, what the hell, Caroline? It is September, it's still nice outside, the days are still longer, the holidays feel like a really long time away. The thing is, if you are trying to set yourself up for success during a really stressful time, you need to plan ahead. So right now, as we're about to move into the fourth quarter, this is the perfect time for you to just sit down and do a little bit of thinking and maybe planning about how you're going to manage things as we move to the end of the year. Now, just a little bit of backstory about the holidays. So, the holidays are always advertised as this time of like happiness and joy and togetherness, and some of that is true. But for a lot of people, myself included, the holidays are a super, super stressful time. The seasonal change can affect a lot of people. I know I really hate the short days in winter. So when the sun's starting to go down earlier, I'm starting to feel more down in the dumps. It means my motivation to exercise is waning. I know a lot of people feel the same. The stress of the holidays is going to be growing bigger and bigger. You will have to start buying gifts for people. You have to plan that stuff out. Maybe you're like me and you have to do a ton of traveling to see your family. Some of you may have better or worse relationships with your family. That can be stressful as well. It's just a lot of stuff. And to add on to that even more, as you guys all know, the holidays are a time when like junk food and alcohol, all of this stuff is just everywhere. Everybody's doing it. You're going to holiday parties. It's all around you. And that happens starting in October with Halloween candy everywhere. So really, if you're trying to be more consistent and do a little bit better job this holidays, now is the perfect time to start thinking about it. So for me personally, the holidays are always a struggle. Like I already mentioned, the seasonal change affects me a lot. I love my family very much, but the traveling and all of the extra time in big groups of people all the time can sort of stress me out. And in the past, I've had a lot of problems with my binge eating over Halloween. Over the holidays in general, specifically over Thanksgiving. Since my family doesn't really do Christmas, that's like our big holiday. And so I am taking the time this year to do this sort of planning myself to make sure that I can stay on track, have better ways to manage my stress. I'm going to talk more about all this. But I want you, first of all, before we even start talking about specific strategies, to think about three things when it comes to staying consistent with your eating and exercise over the holidays. And just a side note, by staying consistent, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, I don't mean like setting a really big, scary goal that you're going to chase right now, because I actually think that that's inappropriate and not a good idea for most people. But ask yourself, first of all, what does success mean for you? So for me, success might mean going through the holidays and being a little bit more in control of my eating and not having an episode of binge eating or something like that. For some of my clients, success means staying more consistent with their exercise routine. So instead of like training really consistently and then the holidays come and you're traveling a lot and all of a sudden you're just not in the gym for 3 weeks, maybe we have some strategies we set in place to keep you working out in some capacity when you're on the road. For somebody else, I know a lot of people have issues with alcohol over the holidays. I'm going to talk more about that as well. But maybe for you it means, okay, I'm going to drink a little bit less, or I'm going to keep my drinking a little bit more under control, or I'm going to be a little more mindful about it and not use it as a stress relief. So this can be totally independent, but I want you to ask yourself, this holidays, what have I struggled with in the past? And what, like one, maybe two things are the most important to me? And if I could achieve those things, that's going to be success for me. Because that's going to help you dictate exactly what you're going to do for the next few months. The next thing that I would do as you're asking yourself this is to maybe adjust your priorities. So like I already said, the holidays are super stressful. This is probably not a great time for you to chase certain goals. For example, a fat loss goal. I have some clients that are doing this, but I would caution most people against trying to lose a lot of weight through the end of the year. It's just really hard. Everything in your environment is conspiring against you. There's, like I already said, all these parties, there's junk food everywhere, and you only have so much willpower, and this is especially true if you're already stressed out with other stuff. So trying to white knuckle your way through every single holiday party and family gathering, thinking that you're going to lose weight, is really just setting yourself up for success, and honestly setting yourself up for issues like binge eating, because you think, oh my gosh, I'm so bad, I ate this one thing, I had some drinks, I might as well just go all in and eat everything and then start over, and the cycle repeats and repeats. So set yourself up for success by picking a goal that's more adequately suited to the season. Some good examples would be just simply maintaining your physique or your level of fitness. I'm going to talk more about this again in a second, but finding like the bare minimum of stuff to keep you on track with where you are right now and not backsliding. For a lot of people, that would be a huge win for the holidays. So that's a good goal. Another one could be taking advantage of all of the extra calories that you're going to eat over the holidays to chase a muscle building or strength building goal, because you already know you're going to have the fuel, you're going to have more time inside potentially, at least at first. As the weather gets colder, you don't need to worry about going outside as much, so those types of goals would be more suited. That's gonna give you a better chance of being successful. So as you're asking yourself what success means for you, just be honest and be realistic about what you can accomplish, given that we're moving into the holidays and everything that goes along with that. And then the last thing that you want to do is manage your minimums. So this is a phrase I'm going through precision nutrition coaching right now, which I'm going to be talking more about, but not today, but over the next year. And one of the things they talk a lot about is managing your minimums. And what that means is, sitting down and figuring out what are like the bare essential things I need to be successful, and really consistently nailing those things. Now, the trick with this is you can't have like 10 minimum things. We need to be really clear and honest about the most important stuff, and that's what you need to do consistently. So let's say your goal is to be more consistent with exercise. You want to pick your minimum number of workouts that you need, and you want to do whatever you possibly can to get those workouts in, even if it means doing a bodyweight workout at home, or going for a run or a walk or something when you're out of town, and just really focusing on that stuff. When you correctly identify the things that are going to move the needle the most for you, and you do those things, then you're going to have more success. But if you're focused on all kinds of other stuff, either because you don't want to do the work that you need to do, or you pick something that's not a good fit for you, then you're going to be like spinning your wheels and all that stuff that nobody likes. So let's get into a few strategies, like specific strategies for training and healthy eating that I like to use over the holidays. So we'll talk about exercise first. So I've talked about this so many times, but I want to say it again. You don't need a ton of training time to A, maintain where you're at, or B, even make slow progress. So if you know that over the next few months you're going to be traveling a ton, you're going to be out of the office, you're going to be away from your gym, it might be more realistic to back off your workouts, set a minimum number of workouts. I like at least 2 workouts a week. 3 would be a little better, but whatever you can manage, and then just put those in your calendar. Sit down and protect your time. Make sure people can't schedule meetings, or family members can't put stuff in there, however you do your calendar. But commit to those workouts, and dial it back. So pick what you know you can manage, and think about what you can manage, not just now when maybe you're just chilling at home, but what you can manage later on in the year when things get really busy. You may also want to shorten your workouts. So if all you can do is work out over lunchtime, it's probably not a great idea to plan to do like hour-long workouts. It's going to eat a lot of time out of your day. You can get better results, and you'll be more consistent and less likely to skip those workouts if you're doing like 30-minute workouts or 20 minutes, something like that. So just be realistic with what you can manage and stick with that. The next thing that you should do, one second, I'm looking at my notes real quick. So again, you want to sit down and plan your workouts like meetings. Plan ahead as far as you can. And then when you know you're going to be traveling, have some tools so that you can work out outside of your gym. So things like bodyweight circuit workouts that you can go through. Maybe you have some small pieces of equipment like an exercise band or sliders or something like that. Maybe you know where you're going to be traveling, and you know that you can go check in at a local gym, or you have a hotel gym. But have some strategies in place so that you can stay consistent with your training even when you're on the road. And does not need to be complicated stuff. Now, in terms of healthy eating, again, planning is super important. So if you are someone who likes to cook or is already cooking some of your meals, now is a great time to get really good at batch cooking or meal prepping as much as possible. So the last thing that most people want to do when they're coming home from a crazy day or crazy weekend of travel is sit down and cook a long, fancy dinner. So there are 2 strategies for meal prepping that I like. Some people prefer one, some prefer the other. The first is to spend some time on the weekend prepping as many meals as you possibly can. Full meals, like already divvied up and everything, so there's no preparation other than maybe just heating stuff up. That can take a lot of time and be a little intimidating. So another thing that you could do is to prep just big amounts of certain foods that you can use in different meals. So for example, one thing I like to do is to make a big batch of shredded whole chicken in a slow cooker. It's incredibly easy. You just put the chicken in there with some spices. You cook it for 6 to 8 hours, depending on how much time you have. And then when you take it out, you shred it with some forks. And now you have a bunch of chicken that you can use for salads. You can use it for dinner, pasta, any possible thing that you could use. Tacos, we do a lot. Another thing you can do is to roast a big pan of vegetables, again, to be divvied up in different meals. Another option yet would be to chop up just some raw vegetables. So you can throw those, if you're gonna do a little bit of cooking here and there, in eggs. You can put them in salads. You can make like a stir fry, stuff like that. So doing some prep work ahead of time so that you're not having to cook an entire healthy meal from scratch every time you go home is gonna make it much easier for you to make a healthy choice when you're stressed out and short on time. Now, if you're someone who hates to cook, doesn't have a lot of time, like can't be bothered with grocery shopping, the good news is that in 2018, there are so many different delivery services that you can use. So these range all across the board. Some of my clients just get their groceries delivered via Instacart or Peapod or something like that. Some of my clients do the meal delivery services where they send you ingredients, uncooked ingredients, just enough for a certain number of meals. I think Blue Apron is like this, HelloFresh. There are a ton of those options, and those have all kinds of different meals that you can pick for different nutritional needs or preferences. And then there are even services that will send you fully cooked meals, so there's no work on your part except heating it up. So of course, this costs a little bit of extra money, but if that's not as much of an issue for you and your time is more valuable, or you just absolutely hate grocery shopping and cooking, I definitely recommend investing in this stuff. Do it for some of your meals, do it for all of your meals, but do some research, ask your friends, and find out what might be a good fit for you, because that's been a huge lifesaver for a lot of my clients. Okay, so it's unrealistic to think that you're only going to be eating healthy home-cooked meals during the holidays. So how can you make better choices when you're at holiday parties or eating out or family Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever it may be? So I would focus on just a few things, so don't overthink it. The first thing that I would do is to always eat super slowly, chew every bite of food, really enjoy and experience your meal, and then stop eating when you're about 80% full. So again, this is a concept taken from Precision Nutrition. It can be a little bit vague. 80% full, I would just say, is not stuffed. So you could maybe eat a little bit more, but you're also pretty satisfied. And this can take some practice, but we all know what it feels like to go to a holiday meal and eat to the point where you feel like you can't button your pants, and that's an uncomfortable feeling. So ideally, we're gonna stop a little before that. Eating slowly will help with this if you check in and see how you're feeling as you're going through the meal. I would always prioritize protein and vegetables. Make sure you're eating some of those with every meal whenever possible. I know it's not always possible, but if you're at a restaurant, you can certainly order those sorts of things from the menu. If you're at a holiday, the first thing that you could do is put some protein, fill up most of your plate with vegetables. If you're eating most of your calories from those foods, it's gonna be hard to overdo it. They're more satisfying, they take up a lot of space in your stomach, so they make you feel full, and of course they're full of great nutrients that you need. If you are going to eat foods that are junk foods or treats or whatever, make sure that it's something that you really like. So an example of that would be you go to your family holiday and your grandma makes this pie that you've been eating your whole life and you just love the pie. That would be something that'd be worthwhile. You're gonna take a piece, you're gonna enjoy it. Something that would not be worthwhile would be store-bought cookies from Jewel that have been sitting out at your company potluck for hours and hours, and they're hard and you're just kind of eating them because they're there. So again, slowing down and thinking about your choices just a little bit can help you pick things that are more worthwhile versus stuff that's just there. So think about that stuff anytime that you don't have control, like you're not preparing the food, but you're still able to make some selections about what you're eating. And then the very last thing that I want to talk about is alcohol. So it's normal, a lot of people like to have a drink to take the edge off, but this can really get out of hand on the holidays. And again, this is just as you would define getting out of hand. So I'm not trying to make any judgments about anybody or what they're doing, but alcohol is all over the holidays. It's over family celebrations, it's at holiday parties. I know a lot of holiday parties from my clients have a tendency to get like kind of rowdy, and people are almost pressured to drink maybe more than they'd like. So if you are trying to keep an eye on your drinking, you can follow a few things. You can decide ahead of time, like how many drinks you're gonna have. I'm gonna have 2 drinks, I'm gonna have 3 drinks, and then really hold yourself to that. Maybe even recruit a buddy, like if your partner is there or your friend is at the same event, to keep you on track. If you really don't want to drink, but you experience a lot of peer pressure from coworkers to drink, people are always trying to put drinks in your hand, things like that, have a virgin drink, so like a soda water with a lime, a Diet Coke, something like that. So it looks like you're drinking. That can be really helpful so people aren't always pushing drinks on you. And then the last thing that I would recommend is, sorry guys. Oh yeah, so if you're drinking to relieve stress and you think that might be a problem for you, Same thing could be said for food. If you're stress eating or emotional eating over the holidays, first of all, you got to notice that this is happening. You have to acknowledge it. We call it notice and naming. Say, okay, I'm stressed out. I'm reaching for a drink again. I'm stressed out. I'm eating all these cookies that I don't want. And use this holiday season to experiment with other ways to relieve your stress. There are like so many different ways. You could exercise. You could excuse yourself from the situation, go for a walk, take some deep breaths, meditate, read a book, take a bath. Just find some stuff that works for you and try it out and see if you can start to address this stress that you might be feeling from the holidays or whatever else in a more productive way. So just to summarize, I know I talked about a lot of stuff today, but we're trying to stay more consistent with our exercise routines and making better food choices over the holidays. Planning ahead now before stuff gets crazy is a great way to ensure you'll be successful later. A lot of times when we're in that really stressed out place, it's just too late to make a good choice because we have so many years of bad habits that we'll fall back on. So first of all, adjust your priorities. Holidays are probably a bad time to chase a fat loss goal for most people. So maintenance or building muscle and strength might be a better goal. Asking what success looks like for you. So what are the things that you struggled with the most in the past? Don't pick too many things, but those will be your focuses for this year. How can I do a better job, feel a little bit better, like I'm in more control as we move through the end of the year? And then once you figure that out, you're going to manage your minimums, which means you're going to pick the handful of behaviors that are the essentials to get you to that successful place, and you're going to only focus on those. Everything else is a nice cherry on top, but it's not where you're going to put your focus. I give you a ton of specific strategies for training and eating. I wrote a blog post on this, so if you want to review those, I'll put a link to it in my Facebook thing, and you can find it on my website under the blog. And I also put together a free email course. If you guys haven't gotten this yet, it's all about how to become a more consistent exerciser. If you want to sign up for that, there's a link in my Instagram profile and also in the Facebook blurb here. So hope you guys found this helpful. If you have any questions or concerns moving into the holidays or any stressful time, even if it's another time in the year completely, I'd love to hear from you and what's worked for you, what hasn't worked, what questions you have. So you can always shoot me a DM and I'm happy to respond. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching.